Hey guys, it's Mike here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Kingsman, The Golden Circle, which is a direct sequel to Kingsman, The Secret Service. Both films were directed by Matthew Vaughn, whom also directed Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. Now, I'm a fan of Vaughn's films and also like the first Kingsman. It was a nice surprise to see something that wasn't a previously established franchise do well, which of course translated into a sequel. But does the sequel live up to the first movie, and is it worth your time? Well, let's get into this review so I can break that down. Now, the story of The Golden Circle revolves around Eggsy, played once again by Taron Egerton. After the villain Poppy, played by Julianne Moore, launches an attack on the Kingsmen, Eggsy and the surviving members must pick up the pieces and band together with their American counterparts, the Statesmen, to try and put a stop to Poppy's drug cartel once and for all. Unlike the first film, where Eggsy was first starting out and learning how to become a Kingsman, in this movie he's in the thick of it, fighting other operatives and trying to save the world once again. However, this time he's in a far more desperate situation, with much less resources than before, and with few people having his back. However, I feel this film still did a good job of telling its story and making it engaging. Of course, like the last film, the acting here is very on point. Taron Egerton does a great job as the super spy Eggsy, and he's good in emotional scenes as well as exciting action sequences. And there's plenty of those to be had as well. Mark Strong also gives a standout performance in this as Merlin. I'm a fan of Strong's, having followed his career for some time, so I've always enjoyed seeing his performances. And his role in this film was no different. In fact, he probably has my favorite scene in the whole movie. Another performance I really liked was Julianne Moore as Poppy, someone who surrounds herself with 1950s nostalgia in her jungle hideaway that highly resembles Disney World's Magic Kingdom. She gives a very twisted and funny performance that made me laugh at a number of moments. My favorite scene of hers involves a meat grinder, and it was just great. And of course, the newcomers in The Statesman, the American cowboy version of the Kingsmen, whose members featured Jeff Bridges, Channing Tatum, and Halle Berry. Although with such big-name actors, I'd have liked to see them with much larger roles in the film, I think they did fine for what they had to work with. But the best performance among their group had to come from Pedro Pascal, who played Whiskey, a badass agent who used an electrical whip to take out his enemies in awesome fashion. I really liked Pascal and his role in the Netflix series Narcos, and he was good here too. I look forward to seeing more of his film roles in the future. But finally, I can't talk about actors without also mentioning the returning Colin Firth as Kingsman Harry Hart. Going in, I thought perhaps he would return to his super spy ways instantly, mowing down people like that awesome church scene in the first film. However, what we find of Harry is quite different than we'd expect, and the character must go through an arc to become the agent he once was. Although this was spoiled in the trailer, it's not so big of a twist that it detracts from the film. But the way they bring him back is pretty cool and something I won't spoil here. Now, this film is of course an action film, taking inspiration from James Bond and purporting to do what Bond doesn't do anymore. And as such, there's a lot of crazy gadgets and sci-fi technology such as robots that Eggsy and company encounter. However, this fits within the confines of the universe in the story being told. The action sequences in this movie are also very big and elaborate at times, such as a sequence that takes place on a mountain. The entire sequence is actually very reminiscent of the most recent Bond movie, Spectre, which may have been intentional, but it's good on its own merits. My biggest problem with these sequences is the use of CGI, as there is a good amount of it in this movie, and at times the stunts are so extreme it makes it hard to suspend your disbelief, but overall they still make for a fun time. Most sequences tie together or are entertaining while they last, but sometimes the film does drag, and some things could have perhaps been trimmed without losing anything of real substance. And perhaps some of the time could have been better spent with certain characters, giving them more development, especially given the nature of the plot. And of course, with that said, there was a major attack that set the plot in motion. I can see this direction being polarizing for audiences because many characters do in fact die, including some important people from the last film. However, I think Vaughn handled the newly introduced characters such as the Statesman in the previous previously established characters such as Eggsy and Merlin well enough that the film doesn't suffer that much from these creative choices. So in conclusion, I really enjoyed Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Is it as good as the original? At this point, I'd say no, but I could always change my mind when I rewatched the two in the future. As a fan of the Bond franchise and action films in general, I really liked these past two movies, and I'd say I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I did Spectre, which really dropped the ball in a number of ways. Is it worth seeing in theaters? Maybe for the fun action spectacle on a big screen with a big sound system around you, but I definitely say this is worth seeing on Blu-ray, and I'll be picking it up when it comes out. I'm going to give Kingsman: The Golden Circle a 7 out of 10. So what did you guys think of this movie? Have you seen it, and are you planning to see it? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you like this video, subscribe to this channel to see more content like this, and enable notifications so you can see all of my videos right away when they come out. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you could see all of my content right away when it comes out. Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.